Thank you. So following on from Warwick's very nice introduction to the idea and some of the avenues we're exploring to take quantum technologies, which I guess we can think of in this context as a new set of tools that we have in our toolbox to do things like measure, process, compute, share different sorts of information, and how we can use those tools to solve real problems that are important for the nation. So yesterday, as part of a kind of kick-off activities for the Quantum Decarbonisation Alliance, we ran in conjunction with Quantum Australia, the CSIRO and DETSI, we ran a Quantum Meets Decarbonisation event. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of a summary of that event and what we talked about and what hopefully some of the next steps will be. So to set the scene a little bit, I want to just say that this Quantum Meets event was very much modelled on the series of workshops that were run initially initiated by Cathy Foley when she was Australia's chief scientist, as a series of events. And in fact, the very first one was Quantum Meets Sports, which was a nice precursor to the panel discussion we heard about how quantum technologies are going to find their way into Olympic preparation and supporting the 2032 Olympics here in Brisbane. But I wanted to point out that there's been roughly 10 or maybe a bit more now Quantum Meets events previously that the Office of the Chief Scientist has run and with CSIRO. And there's actually reports available on the Chief Scientist website for all of these events. So you can look through these reports, just jump online, do a quick search and you'll find them pretty easily. And you can read some of the outcomes and discussions that happened in these various these forums and actually some of the activities and follow-up grants that have happened as a result of this. Okay, so yesterday we had roughly 80 people came. We had about 100 people register. But a significant number of those couldn't attend, largely due to the storms and interruptions that happened the previous evening, which is, maybe makes this event even more timely. But we had a roughly 80 people in this venue yesterday talking about Quantum Meets Decarbonisation. And I've got a rough breakdown of the demographics of people. So a large number of people from universities, but I want to emphasise not entirely in the quantum space. So lots of people working in universities looking at decarbonisation challenges in heavy industry, etc. Also, government representatives, we had 15 people from industry. We'd like to have that a little bit higher, I think, ideally, but still was great to have those people along, and as well as some people from CSIRO. The format of the day was essentially, we started off with a series of keynote presentations, so really setting the scene, so what quantum can do, and also what are some of the big challenges in industry. And these keynotes set the scene for more detailed panel discussions, where we had 4 panel discussions on critical minerals, quantum chemistry, material science challenges, networking and logistics problems, and also some of the heavy industry, hard to abate sector challenges. And then we finished off the afternoon with a series of breakout discussion groups where we went upstairs and everyone got onto a table and did a bit of a deep dive into some of the specific problems that arose through the conversations that we'd had through the day. So I won't go through all of these in detail, but I'll just point out some of the topics that we went into. So, for example, very related to the question actually about mining waste and identifying critical minerals in mining. So it turns out that the waste produced from mining is enormous, but there's still a lot of valuable stuff in there. And so thinking about how quantum sensors could help us identify and extract that. We also talked about networks of quantum sensors and how they'd be useful in agricultural settings and also coal mines in order to get accurate information about methane emissions, for example, which is currently very difficult to track in a really quantitatively accurate way. Other things, Warwick's already talked about the challenge of fertiliser production, but yeah, some other things came up in sort of with transport networks where we're really dealing with systems of systems and how we can process those large amounts of data and integrate them in clever ways to really optimise such networks. So that's a summary. There will be a report prepared on all of these. I'm looking at my Quantum Australia colleagues for confirmation that they're going to do that. But really, there was a really, some interesting things came out of that I think probably surprised a few of the members in the audience and participants. So one of the real features of Quantum Meets events, and I think this is the next step, and is that you can see that in the break sessions, there was a lot of very lively and active discussions happening, but most importantly, these were happening between groups of people that don't normally get together. And so this is kind of like the important thing to take away from the Quantum Meets, is that starting these conversations is really the basis for going away, thinking a bit more about potential grant opportunities or commercial opportunities, and building the relationships that you're going to need to actually bring these to fruition. So the next steps, so for all the people who are in the room today who are at this event, I strongly encourage you to follow up on the conversations you've had and take these further, because there are opportunities around. We've heard a lot about these already this morning in some of the other discussions, and panels have shown examples of how these projects can take off. And yeah, I hope this continues well. So finally, I just want to finish by thanking my co-organiser colleagues for this Quantum Meets event, so particularly Liz Young, Alan Mark and Warwick Bowen, who played a key role in helping shape the program, and also the Quantum Australia team here in Queensland, and a special mention to Zoe Chen and Guy Barry, who really put in an awful lot of effort to make yesterday's event possible. So happy to answer any questions about that, but thank you all for that.